If you can spot me in the next 5 seconds, then we're going to need you to drop some of your stealth tips in the comments below.
But let's not forget that deception is a very important part of stealth. That was the decoy, if that was what you found.
The art of stealth is one that's evolving every single day. In the past couple of years, Airsoft players in particular have pushed the boundaries of what is possible with a concealment system. So how can you improve your stealth? Or better yet, how can you get better at detecting it?
Now, I'd strongly urge you not to click away if you've already heard of a list like this, because I promise this one is completely unique and it's aimed at the individual Airsoft player. So what are the 5 S's of stealth? We have to talk. When I say system, I'm talking about your skills system. This is anything from the way you walk to the way you draw your gun, from the way you transition. These are all fundamental parts of your system. Now, everything I'm about to explain in this list is virtually useless unless we work on our weapon proficiency. We're going to be doing an entire series on proficiency, but right now, here are the things that you can be doing.
Step 1 is to nail down the position of your gear. We need to make sure we're not falling into the trap of constantly relocating things because it feels like we could shave an extra 0.1 second off our draw. Work with your body and find something that feels natural but also minimizes as much unnecessary movement as possible, and then lock it in. Step 2 is to get practicing. And you don't always have to go to a field to do this or even spend any ammo. Just give your roommates a heads up and then spend some time working on the most common situations you might face. For you, that might mean reloads, draws, or transitions. For every player, it's going to be different, so hone in on what is going to be most beneficial to you.
Now, these are just a couple of skills within your system that you need to be focusing on. Now, when I say shape, I'm not just talking about the curves of your body. I'm talking about everything that you wear as part of your kit from head to toe. The main takeaway here is that you want to be breaking up the natural lines of your body and your kit as much as possible. Now, as we said, this is everything on you, so we have to include a lot more within shape. There's going to be glass on your weapon scopes. We've got metal. We've got glossy plastic. All of these little aspects can undo everything that we work so hard for in terms of concealment.
So if you really want to perfect your stealth game, then it's time to cover everything.
Now, this feels like a good time to mention that if we get anything wrong on this list, we're getting everything wrong. Now, even though most of my outline is broken up, you can now see a new outline on the sky. Now, trust me when I say, if you've got everything else in order, this is going to be what gets you detected. Now, as you can see, it kind of depends on what angle you're being viewed at from. So this is why we're going to think about things in 360 degrees.
We do this because blending in from one perspective doesn't mean that you blend in from all of them, and this is especially true in areas where there's contrasting lighting like the edge of a forest. So naturally, we want to include shadows in this section as well, as we feel like it's one of the best ways to help eliminate the problem of creating an outline. The darker of a space that you're in, the less you need to worry about your camouflage colors as well as your silhouette. It's also important to note that you should always be mindful of the shadow you're making, as that alone can give you away.
Now, the next S stands for subscribe because we've got lots of useful... I can't even do it. It would mean a lot to us, but the next S is actually for speed. Now, I'm sure you've heard it all before. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. There's a lot of truth to this because the human eye is really good at picking up movement and even better so at fast movement. So every time we change our position, we need to make sure we're being careful and deliberate.
Avoid making any sudden jolts or shifts in particular, as they will quickly give us away. If not by sight, then it'll be by the final item on our list, sound. So much work goes into avoiding being visually detected, but we can't forget that isn't the only sense we'll be competing against. Sure, there are other ways players could probably detect you, but it's way less likely, we hope. Aside from ensuring your gear doesn't make any excessive noises during common operations, one big tip we have for keeping your volume down is route planning.
Now, this is the tricky part. Our eyes need to be up and scanning for any possible contacts, but at the same time, we need to check the ground for the quietest route possible. Obviously, we can't do both at the same time, so what's the play?
Well, there's 2 parts, route selection and timing. When we're selecting our route, we're picking the exact place we want our feet to touch the ground. Depending on the terrain, you'll be able to plan more or less of these steps in advance. In dense brush like this, you'll likely only be able to plan 1 or maybe 2 steps at a time, but that's fine. Now with timing, you need to make sure you're prioritizing where you're looking. You shouldn't be spending any more than 1/5 of your time planning your route on average. This just means for every 5 seconds you're up and scanning, spend roughly 1 second planning your route and then carry out the movements. If we do it correctly, the whole system becomes a smooth cycle of scanning, planning, and moving.
Now, everything that we've discussed has been offensive tactics, but how do we defend against it? Well, as it turns out, we've got lots more videos on the subject coming out, so make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss a single upload. We'll put the link for the playlist in the description of this video, but if you're looking for more offensive tactics, then be sure to check out this video here on reducing your exposure around corners. Actually, this corner in particular. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Class is dismissed.
It's too hot.